My name is Matthew Croucher. I'm a doctor that specialises in older persons' mental health. What I'm here to do today is to share with you some of my knowledge about the different health problems that we might experience with drinking alcohol, especially as we get older. Really to give you some knowledge to compare what's happening in your own life with what I know from different patients that I've met and the things that I've learned. Help you to weigh up pros and cons for yourself, especially in relation to falling. Today we're going to think about why alcohol is a little bit of a different deal as we get older. There are several reasons why the effects of alcohol on us as we age are really different from the effects of alcohol on us when we're younger. And most of what we know about the risks and problems with alcohol actually are things that we've picked up from the media and from news, maybe from our own families or our own lives about younger people. Older people in New Zealand who might have trouble with alcohol or be taking too much into their bodies that's hazardous for them are not going to appear in front of the courts, they're not going to be arrested by the police, they're not going to be lying in the gutter. It's a different set of problems. One of the things that many people don't know about alcohol in old age, as we get into our 60s and 70s and 80s and beyond, is that a smaller amount will have a bigger effect on our body. Part of this is because our bodies are less good at getting rid of alcohol once we've drunk it. So our liver, which is the main part of our bodies that processes it and gets rid of it, just isn't as good as that as we used to be when we were younger. Second reason is that all the different parts of our body, our brain, our heart, our nerves, all the different things that I'm going to be talking to you about and giving you some facts and figures on, are more sensitive to alcohol than they used to be when we were younger. The cells themselves in our muscles, in our bones, in our brain are more sensitive to the effects. So it's a bit of a double whammy. I might have just been having a couple of shandies or a whiskey and a glass of wine every night with my meals for years and years and years. No problems at all, caused me no trouble. But by the time I'm in my 80s, that whiskey and that wine are going to have more of an effect on my body because it's more sensitive, and more of an effect because my body's less able to get rid of that amount of alcohol in the same period of time. This is one of the reasons that alcohol use in older age needs a rethink. Prescription medicines are another reason that we have to think differently about alcohol in older age than we do when we were younger. How many medicines are you taking every day? 1, 3, 5? By the time we're adding alcohol into that, we're talking about increasingly unpredictable side effects, and some of those are quite serious for our minds, for our bodies.
Thank you. Yes. It's been lovely to see you.
The second reason that we need to really rethink what we might have known about alcohol and its effects on us when we're younger is that when we're older, as you know, we're picking up other health problems as we go through. Have you got a bit of arthritis? Have you got a bit of heart failure or a bit of respiratory trouble? Do you find that when you have an injury it takes longer to heal now than it used to? Do you think you might have just slowed down a little bit? All of those things are also changing the impact that alcohol has on our body. In other words, the stakes are higher. Perhaps the final thing to say about differences between how we need to think about alcohol when we're younger and how we need to think about it when we're older is that the shame that is connected with it, let's be honest, the shame that is connected with perhaps using alcohol in a way that we deep in our hearts know perhaps that's hazardous, perhaps my daughter or my son or my husband or wife or next door neighbour or GP are more worried about it, is that we don't want to tell people. When we're young, it's almost a badge of honour. Bizarre, isn't it? But it's almost a badge of honour in this country to tell people on a Monday morning what we got up to on the weekend. You know, I got drunk, I did this, I got that, good times, I don't know what that even means. But when we're older, we don't want to talk about it like that. It's more shameful. We keep it hidden. I remember one lady, a person that I treated as a patient, who was admitted to hospital with, I don't know, was it her 4th or 5th fracture in about 4 or 5 years, about one a year. She just slipped over and broke her wrist. And she'd told the registrar in the hospital, "I slipped on a banana skin." He'd faithfully written it in the notes. She was drunk, but she didn't want to tell anyone. But we've got such a huge stigma about it. The registrar didn't even question it. He actually wrote in the notes, she slipped on a banana skin. And the only people that break bones on banana skins are cartoon characters, right? I mean, it doesn't actually happen in the real world. It just shows you how none of us want to think about our older people or ourselves, if we're aging, as having a problem with alcohol, because we're ashamed of it, basically. So it's a different thing. We've got to think about it differently because of how our bodies handle it. We've got to think about it differently because the stakes are higher. And we've got to think about it differently because we don't like to talk about it.
So, we've talked about several ways in which the changing effects of alcohol on us as we age can lead us into more trouble. One is that alcohol has increased effects on our bodies. The next is that if we're taking more and more medicines as we get older, there's more and more chance of problematic side effects and interactions. The next is that the stakes are higher if we have other health problems as well, which is common as we get older. And then I mentioned the increased shame that can act as a barrier. All of this means that the potential harm is higher as we get older, even if we haven't increased our dose. And there's a stronger barrier to us doing things that would make us healthier.
So I'm here to give you some facts and figures. I just want you to consider how this might relate to you or might not relate to you, all part of weighing up the place of alcohol in your life, especially in relation to falls, because that's what you're all here for now, is to think about falls and protecting yourself from falling over. So that's our task, and over the next few times we'll meet, we'll go through different ways that alcohol might affect your bodies, might change your risks, might raise the stakes of falling. So that's it for now, but I'm looking forward to talking with you about just some things that I've learned over the years that I hope you will find useful to weigh up in your own minds.